Sorry about that.
Recording in progress. I already thanked everyone, so now it's on the record. First things first, I'm going to read our land acknowledgement statement. As we gather here today, we consciously and intentionally recognize, acknowledge, and honor that we are gathering on the traditional and ancestral land of the Seneca Nation of Indians. With a proud and rich heritage, the Senecas are known as the keepers of the Western door and for their diplomacy and oratory. They are the largest and westernmost of the 6 nations that constitute the Haudenosaunee Confederacy of Nations, a democratic government that predates the United States Constitution. Alfred, New York, Allegheny County, and New York State at large are still home to Seneca people who continue to assert their tribal sovereignty. They act as caretakers and stewards of this land while actively maintaining their culture, ceremonies, and languages. By offering this land acknowledgement, we reaffirm our gratitude and commitment for the opportunity to work for and with First Nations peoples in this place as we pay our respects to the Seneca Nation on their historic lands.
Well said. Well done.
Well, it's written for me, so that's good. All right, we're going to partake in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag right here. I'll just start so that way you don't have to ask me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. A few announcements before we give the floor to our guests. First, I would like to publicly thank our clerk, Carolyn Hasper, who we almost only seem to notice how much she does when she's unable to do it due to illness or whatnot. But thank you, Carolyn, for all that you do, even though you're not feeling well at this time. But we were going to sojourn on without you.
I hope she's all right.
She sounded like she was doing better today than yesterday. She started having the energy to email us and tell us things we were forgetting. So that's wonderful. A reminder that the overnight parking will begin, no overnight parking technically, will begin on November 1st and go all the way to May 1st on all village streets. There are signs up as you enter the village, but just as a reminder, no overnight parking November 1st to May 1st. There is a terracotta restoration group workshop 2 days from now at 6 p.m. The location will be upstairs.
Yes.
Upstairs here in Village Hall. Please do come out if you are able. And lastly, the Allegheny County Office of the Aging will have a town hall session on Monday, October 3rd from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Alfred Seventh-day Baptist Church.
No, Alfred Station, Seventh-day Baptist.
Alfred Station, Seventh-day Baptist Church. So they're down in Alfred Station in the Seventh-day Baptist Church.
Right.
Not next door, down in Alfred Station.
Right.
Any other announcements? All right. I know that Alan's queued up.
I am.
Okay.
You may be our first guest.
I want to discuss briefly with my 6 minutes, just a couple of things. One will be the parking, but the other thing that came to my attention and to Jimmy's also, the woman who owned the house at the corner of Sales and Terrace Street. I can't even remember her name. What's her first name? Jimmy.
Sales and,
Is it?
oh, Buffy.
That's Sales. That's Main and Terrace. Main and Terrace.
Main and Terrace.
Main and Terrace.
Okay. Apparently there was an estate sale. She was selling out. I went over there to look at a couple of things, and I know her slightly, but she got a hold of me and she wanted to talk. And I asked her why she was leaving. And she said a number of reasons. The major reason was the behavior of students, the ones across the street at the house at the foot of Terrace Street. Jimmy can discuss some of this. I think he had a talk with her also, and she mentioned something about the same to her. And so I think in my own mind that this would be intolerable of a resident of the village, if this is all true, and I believe it to be true, okay, being chased out of her home because of student behavior. I bring it to your attention as a board to think about these things, and in your future discussions, maybe you can come up with some plan that might prevent that. I know that house at the, across the street from Terrace Street, I think it's called 38 South Main, has been a very problematic thing. And Jimmy told me that he heard that there was a fracas there the other day or night, going well into the early mornings. And you guys all work very hard to get together a noise ordinance. I'm not sure Paul will know more about that, how well it's being observed, what can be done about it. Are there any teeth in this thing? And any way to rein in some of these students at a house like that, with probably the assistance of the two schools. And I don't just push it off. If the woman is being chased out of her house, it's something you have to think about, okay? And Paul may know much more about this than I do. The other thing is the parking. To this day, there is a good deal of confusion about the parking rules in the village of Alfred. I rarely go down park in the village, but I do have to get a haircut. And Jody was very upset. She had a ticket, $20 ticket, I guess, parking on Main Street, which hadn't happened before. Not only that, her customer, a patron from Jasper, she got a ticket and says she'll never come back again. I would urge the village to re-examine this whole parking situation, perhaps getting together a committee of residents, of people on the board, people from the school, business people, to make suggestions that might work into a plan that you might develop to reconsider the whole situation, the whole law. My own feelings is that the few remaining people who have businesses here, they should have guaranteed parking without charge, in my view. I believe the residents who are paying between $5,000 and $6,000 a year in taxes for the privilege of living here, they should have guaranteed parking if they want to use it. They're not going to be taking over all the spaces. As someone like me, I'll use it once a month, okay? So anyway, I would urge you to reconsider the whole situation about the parking, because it remains very confusing about what the rules are. And maybe, Jimmy, you might consider, and I think I've spoken to you about this before, Peter, writing something for the Alfred Sun. What are the rules? You've just said the overnight parking at the snow season is going to be in place. What are the rules? What does the chief allow? Where does the chief allow people to park without a charge? Is it the side streets? I mean, what's going on with this? Some people will say, well, and by the way, visitors don't have a clue. Some will say, well, we have these signs at the head of the street, but Jimmy and I were talking about it. If you're parked right over here, okay, that sign is up there. I cannot see it if I even had a smartphone. On a rainy day like we had the other day, it means if you really wanted to park legally, I assume you'd have to get out of your car with an umbrella, with a notebook, go up to the sign, mark it down, go back to your car, and then get your charge card out and call it in, which is not the easiest thing in the world, especially for the older people. And Jimmy has talked to me about, he's interested in having people, residents 65 years and older, have guaranteed parking down in the village. I would say any householder, any taxpayer in the village should have that privilege. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Alan.
But particularly the thing about Buffy at that house is an enormous concern, if indeed she is actually being chased out of her house because of student behavior.
If indeed, absolutely. Thank you. Are there other guests who would like to speak at this time? give them half a second to raise their hand.
Should I speak at the planning board time?
You can speak now if you'd like. I mean,
But you could,
It's mainly about.
about the planning board. All right, I'll
Yeah,
wait
but-
till we get down there. Then that sounds. that
So
work for
there
you?
will be no discussion about any of this here now,
I don't.
unless Paul has any comments about what's going on or anything like that, I don't know.
Well, if you have any direct questions, I mean, you made a few statements, I mean, the parking, it's been this way for what, a year now, 2 years?
About a year.
And
Maybe
most
it's been
people had it figured out, except I've noticed most people that don't pay for parking aren't the students, it's the local people that are the ones that don't pay for it. So a lot of.
But I think it's a good to tell the times of day that it's needed, and then.
Jody mentioned that, by the way, about the $200. She just does not want to pay that fee.
No, I'm saying if a local person comes down to park.
Oh, I see what you
they
mean.
won't pay for the- They won't use the app,
Oh, I see.
but the people that are coming into town,
They do.
they do,
Okay.
all right? This app is used all over the country. Matter of fact, I've had it on my phone since we started here.
Mhm.
And when I went on vacation, I was able to use it in Nashville. Because
Okay.
they have the same parking system, which worked out well. I didn't have to-
And a lot of times it'll tell you when you come into a community that's using it.
Right. Yeah, so,
Becky said the same thing.
it is very convenient, for people that use smartphones. I know when I go to Geneseo, I have a hard time using their meters, because I don't keep quarters in my car.
Hmm.
So I have to go find someplace where I can get change. So it's just as inconvenient for me
Right.
to go there where they
Right.
have meters with quarters as it is somebody to come here that doesn't have a smartphone. So, all these parking things are an issue. No matter what parking we put in, people are gonna be upset with it. Unless we say free parking all the time, and then nobody will be able to park.
Yeah, and then it'd be upset for
And
different
then they'll be
reasons.
upset for that.
Yeah.
So no matter what we do, it's gonna be.
Would you disagree that it might be worth taking a look at again?
Well, here's the thing, I mean, we've been looking at this
Yeah.
ever since I've been chief, we've been looking at parking. The old meters that we had that were clockwork, we spent a lot of time fixing, because people would fill them with spray foam, they would do all sorts of things to disable those. So then-
Wellsville has electronic meters or some kind.
Yeah, but you can still mess with it. In there again, those are $500 to $1,000 per meter.
Oh, they really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
So once you start upgrading to those, you gotta keep batteries in them. There's a lot of maintenance to that. So this system, zero maintenance to it on our part, really. We don't have to do anything to keep it working, because we don't have any infrastructure to it. The company Park Mobile does.
Okay.
So it's all kept done that way. It's easier for us to enforce. I don't have to go up to each car and look to see that there's a tag on the windshield like they have in Albany, where you have to park your car, walk half a block to a kiosk, get a tag, and then walk back to your car and put it in the window. In a lot of places, you gotta do that depending on these parking kiosks, which we looked at those that were, what were they, like $15,000?
Yeah, they were like
Yeah, it was
10.
15 with a 5-year warranty.
Yes, and they run on solar, or you had to hook them up, and then we had to pay monthly for a cellular bill for them to be able to reach the cell service, to be able to use all
Right.
that. So this was the lesser of all the evils,
Yeah.
but yet it is still evil. So no matter what we do, it
Right.
wouldn't probably work out. I mean, if we were to get the parking kiosks, they were suggesting we have, what, 6 or 7 of them?
Something.
At
Yeah,
about
something like that.
$15,000 a piece or something in
Right,
one of
right.
these companies. So the cost of the village up front.
And we only bring in, when we were bringing in quarters, we brought in maybe $10,000 a year,
Right.
$7,000 to
Yeah.
$8,000.
I didn't even think it was that much.
So, so it was, this was never a thing to make money for the village, because we actually, on certain timeframes, the way it's set up, I think we actually lose a little bit of money if people are paying for 15-minute increments. or
Well,
something like that.
it's break even.
Yeah.
It
If
was
they pay the
break even.
minimum amounts, it's break even. You
So-
don't get anything.
So this was the lesser of all evils, but yet it seems to be the worst thing the village has ever done.
I heard you
And
saying,
and so there is no good answer. It'd be great, people want to get together to discuss it, but I think they're gonna find out exactly what we've already found out in the research that we put into it, is that you're probably not gonna find anything better. And if you start saying, okay, people of the village, well, how would I know when I go out to enforce it, whose car is a village?
A sticker.
Yeah, but I gotta walk up to every car.
Yeah.
I gotta go out and do that, where now we can enforce it I can enforce it from a vehicle, we can do it. I used to have to set out on foot to go around to every meter and all that, and it's very time consuming. Now, here's the issue, I'm the only guy in days. Monday through Friday,
I know,
7 to
you're-
3,
yeah.
I'm the only guy.
Yeah, you can't do all this. Yeah,
I have a lot on my plate every day.
I know.
So to get out and do enforcement is kind of sporadic. And to be all the way at the other end of Main Street and then find out that I have a call and have to try and run back here and get a vehicle, it's a little difficult. So there's a lot of, this system's actually helped me, because I can look at it from my phone or from the vehicle, the computer that we have in the vehicle, to see what cars are registered in what zone and how many, and to see if I need to enforce it. Because typically what I did last year was better than this year. Initially, I could look and see, well, there's 8 people registered in zone 7.
Yeah.
And I look and just kind of, I see, like 8 or 9 cars, so I don't get that worried about it. Looks like most of the people are paying, and if one of the vehicles is parked there, it could be somebody running into the village or whatnot. So I didn't get too worried or crazy about it. This year, the reason I did Main Street and a couple of the streets is Main Street's full, Church Street's full, West University Street's full, and I got 2 people that have paid for parking.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I started enforcing it, to get the word out, because there's no way to really do that other than.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I'd like to see an overview again for the newspaper, what's going on. And if there is a possibility of future discussion, especially about the residents getting some way to park. And,
Well, here's the thing, these students are all residents too now.
well,
They
yes,
can
that's
come
true,
here.
they're not taxpaying
That's
residents.
part of our
Doesn't-
sound.
But they are
you
by
can't
extension.
do that.
Yeah.
You cannot, so if somebody's got an 18-year-old son
Right,
who's living with them
yeah,
and they drive down here, do they get it? Because they're not paying
no,
taxes.
they should have, yeah.
And in my house, I pay taxes on my house to the city of Rome. My wife lives with me, she doesn't pay taxes, so should she not get it? Or does her name have to be on the tax bill too? So you can't do that. I mean, all laws have to be fair and equal across the board. If you cannot do that across the board, then it's not a good law
I see.
by any standard. All right?
Even the business owners, what about them?
Same thing, you're segregating out a section of people, giving them something that you're not giving to everybody else. Now, if you have like what we came up with, like a permit system where somebody comes in and pays for it, that's fair and equal, because anybody that wants to come in and pay for that can.
All right.
It's not just, hey, only village residents can do that.
Okay,
And you can't do that with students, saying, oh, I'll only village, and we're gonna leave the students out of it. That would be segregating any other group. So you cannot segregate groups.
I am
But-
hearing some confusion, where perhaps just using the app. Alfred Box Books has volunteered to actually maybe do a presentation or work with you one-to-one to help you upload that app, to
I
understand
don't even have the
it.
machine to upload it onto,
Okay, so you don't have a smartphone?
no.
Okay, so there's also been discussion about you would go in there and perhaps there would be a system.
Like if they have their computer up, you could put
Yes,
in, you could probably go to the
yes.
website and put in your.
We are open to really,
I'm not
if
sure you
it is
can access
because
it
you don't
from
have
your computer.
access to it.
Well, in
We
my
can-
case, it's immaterial in a way because I have a Alfred University parking tag. And I can park across the
Yeah.
street, but
Okay,
I do come down, I'm not really want to talk about myself. Come down maybe once a month to get a haircut. That's my parking. And I find a place down one of the sites.
See, a business
Which is-
owner, could have the app on a tablet or a phone.
Yeah.
They could pay for you and just add it onto your bill.
Well, these are things
So
to
they
be
can-
discussed.
They can do that, and I have
And-
discussed this
right.
with some of the.
I'm sure you talked to Jody
Even
about it.
before we got this, I told him, I said, look,
Yeah.
if you've got somebody that, they're coming down and they don't have a smartphone or whatnot, you could pay for it for them.
And there were some business owners who would pay the quarters in the machines for,
Yeah, they would
folks
run
who-
up, they'd see me out walking down the street,
Yeah,
and they'd run up, fill every meter full of quarters. So this would be kind of the same thing, except they don't have to go outside in the cold to do it. It would alert them when their time's up. They could do everything right from there. I don't think on the app, there's I don't know if there's a
limit to the number of.
limit to the number of cars you. can
I don't think so.
register. I don't think so.
I've
No,
had more-
because
I've had more than
it's
6
based on
minutes.
their.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
But
sorry about
we
that.
are open to some creative
Yeah,
thinking,
they have
and
to
we
have an
appreciate
account.
your comments.
Anyway, it'd be nice to have at least a report, what it's all about.
Okay.
People are still confused and
We
what,
can work
what,
on that. Okay.
what the chief is doing and how he explains this, okay?
Thank you.
And I'll leave it at that for now,
Yeah.
anyway.
Wait, I'd like
I'll
to,
give him part of my 6 minutes, and I just want to make a
No,
comment or
I-
have a question. How much control do we have over the payment of those fines? Could we do something like someone comes in to pay the parking fee and it can be waived if they had a good excuse and agreed to training at the box of books or something like that? Can we do that?
When we write those tickets, they go to court.
They go to
So the
court.
judge would be able to.
So the
Can
judge,
they-
so the judge can do with it
But can-
what she would want.
Right.
So,
That is totally up to the judge, and I can't speak for the judge.
I hear the judge knows nothing about this.
Well,
Does she
The
want-
judge.
She should be aware of it.
She should. I mean, these are village
It's
tickets,
fixed.
she's the
And-
village judge,
And
she can,
village law.
she could do what she wants with them.
Okay.
Whether she will or not, I don't know.
I'd just like to say one thing, which is that there is the precedent in the state of New York for municipalities to have special privileges for residents of those municipalities. I mean, a lot of beach communities, every household, the taxpayers get 1 or 2 passes to put on vehicles. So I think that your suggestion of having a vehicle pass, like a sticker that you can see when you drive by, it's obvious, it's in a spot.
We
you
have a
drive by,
tag.
You see those.
We have that tag already. It's available.
On Cape Cod, the residents get a beach sticker.
But
Right.
to Paul's point, every student rental is also a resident.
Right, but I'm talking about taxpayers, so every
But-
property
but
that's owned.
Every property pays taxes, so the people who are living there are in properties that are paying taxes.
I'm talking about every property gets a certain number of tags, right? So
Which-
it's
but then
up
they-
to then the property
Right.
owner if they want to distribute it to their tenants or if they want to hold it for themselves.
Anyway, for the future, could this be a kind of discussion?
Yeah.
Maybe it could be talked about again. Thanks, Paul, and thanks for the burden.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Were there any other guests or no?
Okay.
Okay.
I do not. see
All right,
any
thank you.
hands raised.
Then, I appreciate that. All right. We need board action to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of July 12th and the special board meeting of August 25th. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, but I don't think we have copies. of
I
that.
haven't seen them yet.
Okay,
And I.
so do we want to just hold off and approve
Yeah,
it next time?
table it.
All right, then we shall table that till next month.
Okay.
Again, we appreciate when Carolyn's able to have everything for us. On to new business. Did we want to discuss at all we received emails about municipalities and how they were regulating cannabis based on time, place, manner? Or is that something that we want to discuss in the future?
Well, just as the economic development person,
Mhm.
there's limited ability in just in New York state law. It cannot be within 500 feet of an education institution, 200 of a place of worship.
Okay.
So as we go forward and discuss these laws, they also need to conform to what other businesses
Sure.
are already.
Mhm.
So it was a survey, they kind of want to know what our needs were, but I think just with those guidelines,
Yeah,
or it's not even
right.
guidelines, these are laws.
Right.
You know, we do have 2 places in, well, we have one vacant business right now, we have another place for sale. I just think we need to be mindful
Mhm.
if we get approached.
Yeah, and
And-
I think because of zoning, as well.
Mhm.
We are, as long as those types of business are restricted to the business district, B1,
Oh, yeah,
B2,
yeah, right.
that the rest of them should fall in place, the rest of it should fall in place.
Yeah.
What businesses,
So
well, the one, the sub shop is
Right.
reopening.
But any,
has it
It's,
by the same owner or?
well, the owner is my brother, so, or actually my family. It's in a
Okay.
trust through my family, and there is somebody in there working to open up a new business
Oh.
in there.
interesting.
Well,
So it's
it's
the,
sure then.
it's a. It's a
And-
clothing. What do you,
Oh, what
Like
about-
consignment or something?
it's not
or
consignment, but it's,
Cycling, like.
yeah, gently used or
Okay.
something.
Oh, very nice. That will fit in lovely with Alfred.
Yeah, it's
Very
doing
cool.
really well in
That sounds
Hornell,
awesome.
and the lady brought it, is bringing it to.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Excellent.
no, so, I mean, and Becky just joined us.
Oh,
I'd
great.
like
Okay.
to see if she has anything that. Becky, if you want to make a comment, you have to unmute yourself. But if you don't want to make a
That's all
comment,
right.
she's
Okay.
waiting,
All right.
she's good.
Good. All right, so we shall move on. Do we know, okay, so there is a board, just kind of, I guess it's more of an announcement, that, or are we announcement that the Honey Pot will be celebrating its 100th celebration? Do we want to make a board declaration in support of that? Is that,
I think we were invited,
we were invited?
and I would have to look at my email as to when it is and everything.
Becky, I think is aware of it. Also, the Union University Church is celebrating their 100th year.
Oh, that's great.
At I think it's October 10th. Or sometime in October for sure. I'm not sure about the date, but they're celebrating their 100th year.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll just make that for kind of knowledge, kind of
Yeah.
announcement thing. Next item of new business, I need board action to appoint Scott Vanderhyde to the planning board. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I second.
Okay.
Are you taking notes in this?
Right.
Are you? Okay, all right.
Not real well.
So that's all right.
Appreciate it.
And Lorette seconded.
Mhm.
Any discussion?
That's right. Any discussion?
I have no idea who he is. so-
Yeah, I know.
Well, Scott attended, well, Pat is here and she's the chair of the planning board, and Scott attended the last meeting and at the end of the meeting agreed that he would continue on.
Excellent.
He's
Which quadrant of the village does Scott live in?
Scott lives on Sale Street. on
Okay,
our-
so
Our
east.
section of Sale Street. And he lives in Jim Moretti's.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So, I know.
He's
Yeah,
retired.
not him.
I know.
Oh,
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Hi,
Aye.
he's a retired
Opposed?
librarian.
Motion has passed. Is that? Motion. Second. Yes. All right. Next. I need a motion board motion to set the trick or treat hours from 6 to 8 PM on Monday, October 31st, 2022. Do I hear a motion?
I
That's
make a
your,
motion.
you better make it. That's
Yeah.
your section of the world. I'll second it.
All right, so that would be Meredith. Seconded by Jim. Any discussion? You're gonna have guys out handing out the things and all that good stuff?
Should have, yeah.
Sounds
I don't
lovely.
see why we wouldn't.
I love trick or treating.
Good. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the motion is passed. Okay. What was your wording? Hold on. This is the hard part of not having it all written up ahead of time. Okay. I think this one, I talked to the lawyer and he agreed with you. I need board action to approve the payment to our insurance company for the sum of $2,500 for the settling of a personnel matter. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
So insurance. Payment. That was Jim. Meredith. Okay, any discussion or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, nay. The motion is passed. I believe we've also been contacted by someone about an alternative for our electricity that we can purchase from. Carolyn was able to send it to me this afternoon, but I'll pass it along to the rest of the board so that we can look it over and decide in the future if we want to switch over or just keep using whatever our supplier is. Any other, do have one more. I have it written right here. I need board action to appoint Carolyn Hasper as village treasurer.
So moved.
All right. And a second.
Treasurer or deputy treasurer?
Isn't she already treasurer?
I don't know, just in case.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember if she, at one point she was deputy. I don't-
Isn't Monica treasurer?
No,
She's
Monica's
deputy?
deputy treasurer.
Deputy
She's
treasurer.
deputy
Yeah.
treasurer?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah,
No,
I think at the moment that the position
Yeah.
did not have.
but I thought we already,
I'll second that then.
okay.
Okay, yes, just so we can get on the floor to talk about, but yeah, it's quite possible, but without going through all our minutes, just to be safe, that position should be listed there. So I was instructed that we should do that this evening.
Is it typically a separate person?
It can be, our counsel said that he could find nothing that says it couldn't be the same person. And it was when all we had in there was
Right.
Kathy.
Kathy,
She
she was
Both.
clerk treasurer, so.
She did it all by
Yeah.
herself.
Yeah, I'm mostly just, worried
Yeah, you
about
remember that?
workload
Yeah, yeah,
and like if this is temporary or long-term, that she'll do both roles. So.
I don't think that it's necessarily changing any work, it's just merely assigning that title
Formalizing
so that
it.
someone is in that position within the office, so
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Any new business, other new business? That was not covered there.
No, I think we got it all. Becky, did we get it all?
Yes, she's shaking her head, yes.
Okay.
Moving forward. Working groups, Jim, you have right of first refusal. Would you all like to go to the planning?
Well,
board?
since it was last
It was
week,
last
I'll
week?
give my report
All right,
right
give the
now, real
report.
quick.
Love
Okay,
it.
the town has just hired, they've released their code enforcement officer and have hired a company out of, I think they're in Belfast, that are providing code enforcement services to municipalities in Allegheny County.
Interesting.
And right now, they have, I think, 4 or 5 towns, and they have 3 people working for them, and they go into the town. Although the town does not, the board handles all zoning, and the code enforcement officer provides permits for those. That is the difference. The fire department is the next thing that came up was the Northland solar array that is going in between Alfred and Andover. The fire department has been given a huge stipend to build a new addition onto the fire hall to house equipment that the solar company is paying for and the addition and the equipment is being paid for by the company. And the problem is that they're having is that the fire hall is in a floodplain. So there's some issues right there as to the construction of the building that they're adding on. But they're kind of excited, but at the same time, they're a little bit concerned as to what's going on. The piece of equipment is a side-by-side, which I don't know exactly if this is a different piece of equipment, but that's a piece of equipment. They went into executive session in the end. Let me think if there's anything on the 54.
What do you do while they're in the executive session? You play on your phone?
I'm not allowed to be there.
Well, I understand, but you go somewhere, what do you do?
I go back to my car and go home.
Oh, okay, so you didn't go back after, or you log on?
No, they don't, they leave as
Oh,
soon
okay.
as they're done. They don't.
Fair enough.
They're in there for, last time they were there an hour and a half,
Ah,
so. Oh, they're working on their budget workshop because their election is November.
That makes sense.
So, okay, that's it.
Excellent. Questions for Jim about town board? Appreciate your service for going there and filling us in, as always.
I don't mind it one bit.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Next working group is ACES, which I don't know if we reported last month, but a few of our members are no longer working at the university. And so they're a couple of the driving members, I think, along with Caitlin, who's still involved, but from the university side. And at this point, Meredith has joined, but we haven't really met. They're looking for new direction and a meeting time of the work for all of us that are still on the board, and how we want to move forward. So thoughts from here on how we would like to see that go forward so that we can give them direction?
I think it's come up before. I can't remember if you talked about it or Becky did, but this issue of combining those two.
Yeah, and
committees.
Caitlin's the one who's brought it up a number of times. From my understanding, Becky thinks that they're two
Two
separate
different.
types of entities. There certainly is some overlap of actors or participants, which is, I think, where Caitlin sees the connectivity. And I am not 100% sure. I mean, we need some mechanism to move forward, but I'm not sure necessarily what that is.
So is it restructuring? Is it?
Well, it could be, if we want to offer, again, the committee is kind of came out of the governor's order in, what was that, 2020, 2019, somewhere in that period of time, where we adopted plan around kind of policing, right, Paul? Around, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the group was kind of helping us to continue forward with some of those initiatives that came out of that study and plan. So it's really, how do we want to drive forward any future work on that?
I think one of Caitlin's concerns that I've heard is the people on the committee actually having power to make decisions in terms of who's representing the university and the college.
Right.
And, I think we have representation on the committee.
Yeah.
We're both attending now, especially, but
Yeah.
until those positions are filled at AU, and I know there's some positions being filled at Alfred State
Mhm.
too. What will that structure look like until
Sure.
those positions are filled? I don't know.
Right. And it may also be the type of thing where a couple years ago, being that it was novel, there was more emphasis from the higher ups to be involved, and now their schedules are filled with other things, and it's not the shiny new toy. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think also because it came from like a specific
Initiative.
objective.
Yeah.
So now reimagining, like, is it something that we can use to build stronger collaboration between the three
Right.
entities and come up with a priority list? I don't know, but it seems like a good possibility for
Yeah.
that committee. So.
So we need to figure out some direction, or else or we make the decision that it's not something that needs to be continued, and we reimagine it some other way to meet the kind of objectives that were laid out. That's a possibility as well. So yes, I'll leave that to all of you to consider
Okay.
and give thoughts on. Alfred Community Coalition, is Becky able to talk? She's muted at the moment. No, she can't. I know that there was a meeting, I feel like it was about a month ago's time. I think she's. So, or maybe she's typing something in. So we can read whatever she types in when we get to there. But in the meantime, instead of us waiting for that, let's go into reports. And I don't know if this list was updated, but Meredith, you get to go first.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
exciting.
I love it.
So.
Oh, okay, so I'm sorry,
Never
so
mind.
Becky does want to comment about the event that AC sponsored, welcoming the community.
Yeah, I think, well,
I
there
went
was,
on down,
did you go down to it?
and yes, and I think there
The
was.
August 21st, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was held at the Alfred.
Farmers Market.
Farmers Market at the Alfred Art booth.
Oh, good.
Couple of people came on up and spoke.
Great.
And we had Alfred University's church that joined. They set up a little table and they talked to people, new people. So, you know, appreciate the thought. And I know that Caitlin is going to submit the survey, which was very long. And I
Oh,
think
okay.
that was probably, I don't know how many people responded to it, but it
Sure.
was very long. To the Alfred Son to
Oh,
see if
good.
she could get a little bit more
More
participation.
Good. Good. Yes.
Is this from Becky?
So that's.
We
about
are
the-
meeting monthly and are branching discussions with both C colleges.
With both colleges and assisting the village while working with landlords. So
Oh,
that would be the community coalition, meeting monthly, working with the colleges and the landlords.
Oh,
So,
good.
okay.
thank you, Becky.
Didn't even realize it was up there.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I should have.
That's good. So apologies, Meredith, for interrupting you,
Oh, it's
but
okay. Who's on the community coalition?
I think
Yeah.
Becky and I are from the village, and it's vice presidents, I think, of the student affairs areas for both Alfred University and Alfred State College. Paul, are you on that one, the community coalition, or no?
I am.
Yeah. I think the fire company has someone who's on it,
We used to, years ago, it used to be,
just for like hot dog day planning.
well,
basically.
no, it was,
The rotating.
you know, representatives from the school, anybody that
Yeah.
had, you know, something going on. And I think that's what they wanted to get back to, but I don't know if it quite materialized that way
Gotcha.
this last time.
All right.
Thank you. Just curious. Want me to go to my report now?
Let's do it.
All
Good
right,
question.
all right.
Okay.
So the Kenyon Children's Playground, there was an issue with ground dwelling bees and Tom Costello and his staff were trying to kill the bees for a while. It was not an easy task because they couldn't get to them directly. So ultimately they had to close the playground until they could take care of it. And it's now reopened, which is
Yeah,
great.
because we got rid of them.
Because, well, do you mean physically took them out or killed them?
No, we killed them.
Yeah, they're finally dead. It just took a while. And the other thing I've been working on is preparing for when the Pine Hill Playground will be removed. And I know that Jim and Tom have been meeting with the engineers about the new water tower project and the new water lines. So I've been working with Justin Gregg and we just kind of finalized a charter for a committee that we're hoping to formalize with the village at the next meeting, hoping to have a resolution drawn up to do that. And we're working with people at AACSA to the Alfred Allman Community Sports Association
Right.
to figure out a design plan, to survey the public about what people would like to have in a playground and maybe make it a little bit larger because we have a pretty big plot of land there. You and I looked
Right.
at it on the map. So maybe it could be more of a park with some trails or something. We'll see, but we don't know what's gonna happen, but it seems like there are lots of possibilities. And then, of course, the fundraising.
Yeah.
Big piece,
That, I
but-
noticed, did you, in the Alfred Sun, the Almond recreational group had put in their plan of,
Mhm.
and phase plans of what they were trying to do. That was pretty well
Yeah,
organized, if we could get into something.
Don't
like
worry,
that.
we are,
Yeah.
we
But
are.
I believe,
It's
well,
all-
with you and
it's all on
Justin
the
on this, I
horizon.
know.
Yeah, no, we're working with them. They've learned a lot through their process
Mm.
with the Greg Norton Park and the Lions Park. And so we are kind of mining them for information, and
Good
they
deal.
are really happy to be supportive and help us out. So we can
That's
do the
great.
same kind of
That's
thing. And if
fantastic.
you have different phases for your park and playground planning, you can just watch for specific grants that meet the criteria of one or more phases.
Yeah,
Well-
they received the grant for promoting a ADA path
Oh, great.
and put
Okay.
that in,
Yeah.
so that's great.
They,
Looking at
I
grants.
have noticed how much that playground is being used recently.
Which the Pine Hill,
Pine Hill,
It
the kids
is.
are, well, we have a lot more children on the loop than we've had in a long time.
Mm.
And the kids are actually out there playing, swinging, using the facility. It's gonna be tragic if we can't replace it.
I agree. So I don't see why we can't.
That's right.
Me too, with you two behind.
We'll
I'm
figure it
sure.
out.
Yeah, I
And with,
agree.
yeah, using some of our existing grants for matching, hopefully to be able to apply for new grants, then we should be fine. So
Good.
we'll definitely need the support of the community in terms of planning and feedback and
Mm-hmm.
fundraising.
Good. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. Questions for Meredith?
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Does Becky have something typed up she would like to put up there?
No, and it's almost quiet where I am, so sorry about any interruptions. I could only find internet in a very busy place, sorry. So anyway, the mayor's efforts over the last few months have been trying to make sure that the Alfred Coalition stays together and stays in conversation. There have been many changes at the university, at least, and we certainly have the new VP for student experience on board. The other thing, of course, is that we continue to work on getting the shared generator for the village hall and the fire company, and that generator has been ordered and the placement for it planned. The Alfred ambulance, Alfred fire. We are now continuing to work in COVID mode. That means that any of us on calls, until we're certain that there is not COVID involved with the call, we are practicing all of the protocols that we started with a little over 2 years ago. But calls were down over the summer, and yet every call that we had seemed to be far more serious than the run-of-the-mill calls, like unfortunately drunk students or whatever. And of course, as students have returned, our volume is up considerably. And I'm sure we'll hear a little more about that from the police report as well. But other than that, thank you all. And thank you, people of the village on the planning board and everything else. And Pat LaCourse, I have arranged a half semester payment for you for Tai Chi in the village hall.
There you go.
Thank you.
One other announcement, Alfred University's theater department wants to do a Shakespeare production in the theater upstairs in mid-November. They asked for absolute access to the hall for, anytime they wanted it. Carolyn and I have worked out a schedule with them which should not interfere with the business of the police or the business of the village clerk or the court. They know the court is sacrosanct. And one thing that I was able to compromise on is that we'll want to find a different location for the village board meeting for November, because that's the Tuesday of Tech and Dress Week. So if any of you want to meet at your homes, no, I'm kidding. We will be looking for a different location and get that announced. So, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Becky? All right, sounded good. Now it's on to my report, which I will cede over initially to Pat
Yes,
to
yes.
report on planning board activities.
I just have to read that. I think it's already been mentioned, but the planning board did a survey of the unevenness in the sidewalks. And we were very concerned because we'd like to promote pedestrian walking.
Mhm.
And recently there have been 2 falls. So it is a concern, but we want to thank Jim
Mhm.
and his street crew,
Yeah.
your street crew, especially Tom Costello and Brian Dodge, for the wonderful work that they're
Absolutely.
doing and will continue to do as funds become.
Yeah, we have some in
the
each.
future.
Yeah,
The sidewalks look great.
progress is nice, huh?
Yeah, yeah, to
Yeah.
see, I think it was so good for the planning board to see that they came up with something that they wanted to see done and then immediately.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'd like to say thanks for that. We didn't have any applications for this past meeting, so what we'd like to do is start reviewing the zoning code and do it in sections, and especially starting with the sections that have been of interest to us because we've had to approve applications. So we're starting with sidewalks. We're starting with parking.
Okay.
And so just looking at that one section of off-street parking, what we realized is there is a lot of redundancy. There's a lot of reference to certain topics
Mhm.
that are difficult to find. So this is something we'd like to address with this section, but throughout the code. I understand that a lot of difficulty understanding the code is lawyer speak.
Mhm.
And I understand that when we come up with something that we're comfortable with, we need to then pass it on to you because there's a process of changing any zoning code that has to be approved. And I suppose we have to have the lawyers involved at that point to make sure that we're not ignoring something that, or to say it maybe in a more lawyer speak way, but hopefully not. Because if we as a board read those codes, zoning codes, and cannot understand what they mean, how can we expect other people to follow these
Absolutely.
codes?
Yeah.
Without a lawyer.
Mhm.
So that is one thing, and the other thing is it had been mentioned that a situation has been increasing as far as absentee landlords,
Mhm.
which could be difficult.
Mhm.
And we talked very little about it. We looked at another town that has a landlord licensing form. So we looked at it as far as, is this something we even want to entertain to bring before the board?
Sure.
And it would be mainly a license form that landlords would have to read as to what expectations would be for the landlords. And we had, do you want me to stop?
No, you can keep going. We just don't have a picture.
We just lost Betty.
I think our bulb blew.
They can hear. We had Jason Rod on Zoom. So I asked him what he thought of a landlord licensing form. And his comment was, Alfred Village is making it difficult enough for landlords. So why would we want to impose more difficulty to the landlords? So that got me thinking, how about if the board considers recognizing landlords that are great? Jim mentioned right along with that, that there were several landlords in town who were doing some really nice stuff. So how about if we had some type of
Public acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I usually write a card and I use a historic photograph on the cover. I make my own cards. And I always write in appreciation by the board, the village, Alfred Village Board, for the work to preserve the integrity of the village.
Nice.
And the hard part is that a lot of the absentee landlords are really absentee and they have managers
Right,
in the village.
right,
And so there, you have to track down the manager to deliver that.
right.
But it's worth it because they seem to have always appreciated the fact that we recognize the fact that they have done something to improve their property, especially
Yes.
the one over here on South Main Street that they just painted their house, and 20 Terrace Street is painting their house. Up here on West University Street, there were two houses right on the corner of Reynolds Street going up. Both of them were painted and the porches renovated. It looks great.
Yeah.
And the village really is
And
on
that's-
an upswing.
could we go even further and have something more public as
Yeah,
well?
I think it would be great. The more,
Even a picture in the
It's- I think-
paper, or
Yeah,
letter
yeah.
to the editor, because
A monthly
publicity
highlight, a
Yeah.
different one each month, kind of like, hey, here's the
Sure.
property.
will get them better tenants.
Yeah.
instead of, regulating them, recognizing them, it will encourage more people to get involved in the restoration of their property. Yeah, that'd be great.
So other landlords see
Yeah.
that, oh.
Yeah,
maybe there's-
we're working with Chuck on a handbook. With, we found an old handbook that Chuck, it was published around the time of the overlay district. And we gave it to Chuck, he totally forgot about it. And then we said it might be something that he might want to use as a tool when he meets with the new landlords. So that they have a better idea of permits and things, because they're not familiar with what's required in the village, and this will make it. And he didn't get a chance to put it in my mailbox before this meeting, but hopefully next time we'll take a look at it, see what he's got.
That sounds great. Thank you, Pat.
The one thing that you didn't bring up that I think is the best idea ever is the idea of indexing the zoning. I think it's going to be a huge job, and I can't imagine, but wouldn't it be great if we could just go to parking and go down, it's on page here, here.
Right.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Especially trying to use that code, and if you had an index, woohoo.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, Pat. I appreciate you being here and giving us the update. Let's see, the rest of mine, the mayor has been out of town quite a bit most of the summer, so I've been filling in to do a lot of those kind of duties, if you will. Let's see, I gave a bunch of tours during Alfred State's orientations, kind of showing off the village and all that we have to offer to new incoming students. Our US Senator was in town, so I was there for that. Introduction to new and returning faculty at Alfred University. Got to give a couple minutes speech there. Just yesterday, recorded stuff for Alfred State, kind of a video they're putting together for students who are going to go through the off-campus waiver process to kind of highlight, again, all the kind of things downtown and some of the types of information that they'll want to know when trash to be picked up, where they can find our ordinances, a few of the ones that affect them the most. And just by moving off of campus, that they become more of a member of the larger community and being responsible citizens there. So I'm looking forward to see what they splice all together from all that we shot yesterday. And then, of course, we worked on exciting things like the insurance settlement for the past few months, and continue to talk with both Empire State Development and Clark Patterson Lee about the sidewalks. So that continues to move its way a little bit closer. Did they talk about that at all at the town board meeting, or?
It was brought up by a citizen that lives on 244.
Okay.
On his concern, and there was nothing to
Oh, okay.
report, so he
Yeah.
left. But he was also a member of the fire department.
That makes sense.
Becky has made a comment.
Okay.
I'll read it. It says, I have also given Chuck an extensive list of things that we hope from landlords. I will get a copy of that to each of the board members when I get home in October. I think these are good ideas. Thank you, Pete.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Any other questions on my report, or additions?
Yeah,
It's mine and Pat's report, the P and P.
I want to see your videos. I want to.
All right, when it's out, I'll let you know. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
can't wait.
Yeah, that's
That
a
sounds
wonderful resource to
Yeah.
provide to the
Yeah,
students. so
I think
they
it'll be good.
have an idea. of-
Hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah. what they can
All
use.
right. Next up, we have Jim.
All right, Public Works. We have been incredibly busy. We have been involved in a number of different things. I'm going to start with wastewater treatment. Our project is near completion. They're just working on some of the odds and ends. Did it come back on?
I don't know, I'm gonna try it.
I think
You keep going.
Okay, anyhow, it's bits and pieces left over. They're being, our contractor is being a little bit difficult because he's pricing them so high. So a lot of this work, we're going to farm it out to other contractors in the area. It's nothing very big. We just finished installing the one component that started this whole project was the rake at the front end. That whole system has been replaced. And we have an excellent piece of equipment that we just put into there. Let me go down my list here. I'm going to go the sand filters. That's something that number 3 and number 4 are still leaking. We talked about replacing those with a piece of mechanical equipment, not with the sand filters. Apparently, we can't, there's some difficulty as far as the finances. We tried to do a 0% interest rate, tack it onto the project. It's still up in the air as far as that goes, but it is definitely something that we need to have in place ASAP. Most of the project is complete and the system is running incredibly well. They got it started just before the students returned, and things look great. On the other hand, streets and water, we are just at the starting point. We're going to be, there's 2 areas that we'll be working on is just down from the playground. We're going to be putting Alfred University's meters in. There'll be one located there and one in front of, not really in front of the museum. We're hoping we can put it in the street versus put it in the yard. Again, this is a tricky project because that meter is also going to be in the vicinity of the new bridge construction for next summer. So we need to be sure that whatever we do isn't going to be jeopardized by the construction of that new bridge, because there's going to be a lot of equipment in that area, and hopefully we can avoid some of the problems. They're aware of it, so they're working on that part of the project. The second part of the project, the additional part of the project would be Hillcrest Drive is in desperate need, and that's being paid by the rescue money. And that'll be an early project because the fact that Alfred State's blocked off that section, it'd be the perfect time so you can't drive through to close off that area because you wouldn't have that back and forth traffic on that area and just make it available too. So if we can get that thing started ASAP, that'd be great. We did get the easements for I call it the drop. It's from Sale Street down to South Main Street. That's all approved and everything's signed and the project, that's another part of the project that'll be going in relatively soon. We have the conversation that was brought up about signs, our sign budget, it's been a nip and tuck kind of situation. We have a lot of our signs have been stolen. Police department has got most of them back. There's still a lot of signs that need to be replaced. We still want to we have to pay for new signs from Park Mobile to replace or at least put more in there and stay within our budget. As far as streets are concerned, we did pave Reynolds Street and Elm Street. Sidewalks, we repaired the sidewalks, we poured 10 yards of concrete in that, and we have more concrete to pour. Storm drains have been cleaned up primarily. We had a real issue on Glen Street, took care of that, looks great. Our summer help is the best we've ever had. The three of them just did an incredibly fine job. Jess, the girl that you saw watering the flowers, was recently hired by Alfred Alman as a grounds person. The two boys are still working with us. Summer isn't officially over yet, but it's a pleasure, and I'm glad they're still here because they really have been a lot of help. But I'm sure that contract. What we're looking for September is repair the potholes around the village. Taking banners down, taking the flower pots down, repairing some of the manholes, getting ready for fall and leaf pickup. I think that starts in 1st of October. We go to the middle of November. At least we try to get to the fall. One thing that I didn't mention is we did do a lot of work on South Main Street as far as trees are concerned. We took 3 trees out and trimmed several of the trees with dead branches, and we have 4 new trees coming in. One of the people on South Main Street had a tree that was taken down a few years ago and requested if it was possible, and we accommodated that. So we're going to put hers in. I met with Clark Patterson at wastewater improvement, and we worked on some of the details and worked on the sand filter project, trying to come up with some solutions and deadlines and timeline for that. And we met with Blue Heron Construction to initiate the project. It was the START project, and they were just basically waiting for this easement to go through so that they knew. What they did was take the drilling that was going to be over by your property, that we would drill down through the ground, underground, and into where it enters into South Main Street at this, which was going to cost us around $500,000 just to do the drilling. By moving it from there over to the new location, we took $300,000 out of that project. So we put it back in. So some of the things that we had lost because of that were put back into the project, which is pretty great. And that's it.
Excellent. Questions?
All the bee removal.
And the bee removal.
We did take care of that.
Questions for Jim on his report? Thank you very much, Jim. Paul, what's been going on in the police world?
Well, I
August was a little bit busier for us. Wasn't the busiest August that we had, but we had 159 calls of service in the village, 50 in the town, 209 for the month, and total for the year so far, we're up to 1,751. Arrests were up a little bit. We had 1 felony, 6 misdemeanors, and 6 violations in the village, and 3 misdemeanors in the town. So far for the year, we've lodged 121 charges. Driving while intoxicated, there's 1 in the village and 1 in the town. We had 29 parking tickets, which the complaints we had today, we've already had a lot more this month than we did last month. But I'm not sure what those numbers are going to shake out to be yet. 31 traffic tickets in the village, 19 in the town, 50 for the month. Grand total for the year so far, we're at 353. And we had 1 accident in the village and 1 in the town. And so far, we're at a grand total of 25 accidents that we handled for the year. 12 in the village and 13 in the town. Last month, we had 1 of those arrests was a subject that fled from 1 of my officers and went into Stewart County and crashed his car. And all that fun stuff. That was probably the biggest event we had as far as the police goes. And that was it.
Thank you. Any questions for Paul? We appreciate your service. Thank you so much. And Lorette, anything to report?
Okay, so in the world of communications and social media, basically start the day with updating the Facebook page. But no, our web page, I am using the front page to make announcements. And apparently that hasn't been known by everybody in the village. So I just
Gotcha.
kind of want to announce that yesterday when I updated today's board meeting with the agenda, it wasn't found because people are used to going to the government section,
Sure.
not the home tab.
Sure.
So I just want to make an announcement that I
It's a
have been
paradigm
using
shift.
the home tab,
Great.
but it's also a learning curve for me. I did not realize when I am updating on the home page,
Mhm.
it's not updating the actual government board
Down, it's a separate
meeting.
look.
It's separate.
Okay.
So I learned that last
Yeah,
night,
good,
and I
good.
actually have to thank our, actually Christelle Rod for bringing that to my attention. So I appreciate her assistance with that. So beyond just updating communications, I also have some information I just want to share also about communication. So Allegheny County, and I'm going to put this in the
newsletter.
newsletter.
Oh,
I
good.
don't have anything to pass out tonight because we're missing our beautiful Carolyn. So Allegheny County Department of Health's Facebook page came down September 1st. So to continue to receive information from Allegheny Department of Health Facebook, you actually have to click a link, and I am going to post that in the newsletter. I haven't tried to just do a lookup to see, but they apparently had to change the Facebook page, and that is something that we use for guidance, especially around COVID. So I want the public to have that. I have been doing a newsletter monthly, and I will be putting this in the newsletter, that link and this information. Okay, and I included this in our new business, no, in our announcements. So Allegheny County Office of Aging in 2021 had done a survey, and the concerns that were expressed at that time are going to be addressed in a town meeting across Allegheny, and the local one that's going to occur is October 3rd. It's going to be from 11:30 to 1. I did put it in our agenda, and it's held at the Alfred Stage Seventh-day Baptist Church And refreshments are going to be provided. They do want to RSVP. Contact the Office of Aging at 585-268-9390 or New York Connects. So that 268-9390 is actually Office of Aging of Belmont at the Crossroads. So just to make a reservation to go to that meeting. The next thing is actually there's an FCC program. I'm also going to put this in the newsletter again. I think I already did, but basically just to provide some information, households that are 200% of the federal poverty level or under, or if your child is in a free lunch program, or if your school participates in a free lunch program, or if your college student received the Pell Grant at any time this current year, they are eligible for $30 discount on their internet.
I think it's $30 for internet for the month.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
That's the way
it's a
that,
discount.
oh, okay.
It's a discount. There is also a one-time, and it could be up to 75 for tribal lands. And there's a one-time $100 for a laptop, desktop, computer, or tablet purchased. The process is actually online to register. You're sent a verification. It's actually a very simple process. I am aware that not everybody's comfortable using the computer. So what I am in the process of putting together is I'm going to hold like a little forum, maybe at the Alfred Box of Books, where I help people make this renewal. However, the people that use the internet and use, laptops and everything are not going to need that assistance. So I'm going to kind of put that out in a newsletter, a little survey thing I want to conduct, and just see how many people need with that help. But this is a federal program and they want people to know about it. So the next thing to let people know is that New York State of Health auto enrollments for Medicaid, Child Health Plus, and the Essential Plan is ending 11/30/2022. So since March 2020, people have had that type of health insurance, haven't had to do anything. So that's why New York State is putting out the text campaign. I don't know if anybody's seen the commercials, but basically sign up for the text, because when it comes due where people will have to renew again, 1/12 of the population will do it at a time instead of everybody. And that text reminder is going to tell you when your time is up. And it's actually determined by your renewal date right now. And renewal dates are until 2023.
Got it.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So, just the rules for cannabis is just another thing that I think we need to, I do think we need to at least, have something formally in place. So when somebody approaches us, we can
We're not
intelligently
reacting.
respond and provide those guidelines. So,
Richard has some things available
Oh, good.
to work with that he's done for other municipalities. He thinks, the last time I talked to him, he thought he could give us a draft that we can work from.
nice.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Lorette. Any questions or comments on Lorette's report? Okay. Public comment period. Pat.
You were speaking about stolen signs,
Hmm.
and most of them were parking, but you're talking about stolen street signs? as
Yes.
well?
I think the corner of Terrace and South Main is missing right now.
Yes.
And it was there, and we replaced it. We got it back, right? Well, we got that back and now it's gone again, huh?
because I use that as my target
Right.
for turning onto
Yes,
Terrace,
absolutely.
because it's fluorescent.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it picks up the car headlights at night, so
Yeah,
during the day I don't. But it helps that.
No, you're right.
I think we could
So-
probably go where we went before and we probably might find it there again. We'll ask Paul.
The other thing I want to say is that the Tai Chi group,
Yeah,
Becky's still there?
Yep.
The Tai Chi group has been renting the upstairs for 9:30 to 10:30, Monday through Friday. We so appreciate the low fee for the use of it for the semester. And we were going to move, Becky, we were going to move to Alfred University where we're not charged anything. But our membership voted and they want to keep the village hall.
Wow.
All right. Good deal.
So thank you for going to all that trouble of giving us a partial, because I had asked
Yeah.
for just a partial semester
Sure.
fee.
Mhm.
But they voted to stay at the
Wow.
village hall.
That's
That's great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I pitched Tai Chi when I made my address at Alfred University's opening remarks. I try to every time I can. One of the public,
Oh,
absolutely.
Yay.
I do what I can.
Wonderful. And I love the story how somebody moved to Alfred and presented this art. And it just reminds me of our area is so unique in
Oh,
it
that
is.
we have so many people from different cultures that we can learn from. And so I also put that in the newsletter because I think that is really, it's just a marvelous part about Alfred that needs to be appreciated.
I so appreciate that, yeah, because we're dedicated to it. We feel it benefits so many people.
Mhm.
But we've discussed different places for the summer and the good weather, but we like the fact that we're on the village lawn, the bandstand lawn, because we're visible
Right.
and
Yeah.
people
See it. Yeah.
see it and say, what are they doing? What is that? Some people have come, even visitors have come to us and say, what are you doing and can we join?
Oh. that's
Really?
great.
Isn't that
I
cool?
love it. Are there any other public comments?
And I do not see any.
You're not seeing any? All right, we'll cut that short then. I have not, I don't think any of us have gotten the July or August fiscal summaries, so I'm not gonna have us vote on having received it. Right,
I'll make a motion.
so then we're gonna table that again for when we'll do all the bills in the abstract
Yeah.
next month for everything as well, all at once. So there's nothing else that people need to say. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. All right, it's accepted, and we are done before 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You did
In the
it
books.
with 6 minutes to spare.
Yay!
I wish I-
Don't you dare say it's because I wasn't there.
That's right. Thanks,
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good
Megan.
night.
Becky, bye-bye.
Safe trip.